Selina Ringel is an award-winning writer, producer, and comedian. She is a Jewish Mexican-American who grew up in Guadalajara, Mexico, and she has collaborated with some of the most incredible creative talent, including Issa Rae, Lee Aronson, Rob Schneider, and so many others. She has written and produced and stars in the film Single Mother by Choice.
So how did you two meet?
Oh, no, we're not.
Yeah, no.
She's
we're
not my
dating.
girlfriend.
Oh, we met in college.
But we live together, and then I'm having a baby. She's helping me with it. It's complicated.
You are young. You still have time to find a partner.
I don't want a partner, so if you're good to take my money, I'm good to go.
And if you think I'm gonna miss any of this, you're out of your mind. I'll just tell the camera where we're going.
I'm going to an ultrasound where hopefully I'll hear the heartbeat of my baby. Oh, she means our baby.
Yeah, confirm. Confirm.
Ultrasound appointments are just being canceled. I've talked to the hospital and it seems they are requiring women to deliver with an N95 mask on.
You're okay. I don't want to do this all on my own.
We want to welcome Selina Ringel.
Hi.
How are you? Is this your first film where you actually star and you wrote and you produced?
Yeah, so I wrote a feature before that I produced that got bought by Samuel Goldwyn Films and is on Amazon. But this is the first feature that I'm the star of as well.
Wow, that's quite an undertaking.
Thank you.
So congratulations. And you also did it during, well, you started pre-pandemic. You started in the late 2019.
Yeah.
And you really got going in after the pandemic started, which was really hard. How hard was it?
We were filming once a month throughout my whole pregnancy. So we had already filmed like 1/3 of the movie by the time the pandemic hit. We had to trash like a lot of what we had shot because we had to re-outline the whole thing. And then we lost our whole crew because we couldn't put my baby in danger because I was actually pregnant. So then my husband and I had to do the job of, 25 people, which was insane. And my husband, his name is Dan Levy Daggerman. I will shout him out because he literally learned how to use the camera. He's always been an incredible director and writer, but for this movie, we had to buy the camera. He had to learn how to be a cinematographer. He had to do sound. He had to do, it was like insane.
The way I saw it when I saw the film, it's about a woman who's got her stuff together. She's just like going and she's successful and she's got her own business. And
so it is. It's about a woman who's exactly what you described, incredibly self-sufficient, thinks she can do everything on her own and really, really wants to be a mom. And has come to a point in her life where she's decided she's not going to wait for the right partner anymore. She feels like she's waited long enough and she's always wanted to be a mother. So she's going to go ahead and do it on her own. Through sperm donation, which now is very common. Actually, it's a big movement called Single Mother by Choice.
And a lot of your character, would you say, is infused by some of your personality, some of your ideas? What are the similarities between both of you?
Yeah, so definitely my husband and I wrote it together, but it is an alternate version of me. And we always kind of explore alternate versions of me because I feel like I'm someone who has a lot of different parts. And I like to take one part and just really explore that part and kind of be like, what if this part was just its own person, So Ava's the part of me that is, super workaholic, super determined, super self-sufficient, super organized, a little OCD, who, has a really hard time delegating because she really wants everything to be perfect and is always over, seeing everything. And it's a part of me that I think a few years ago was probably more accurate, where I had a very hard time asking for help. And that's something that I think I've had a huge growth in my life, is learning how to say I don't know, and knowing how to say, you know, I actually need a little bit of support in this. And so I think that was kind of one of the journeys we really wanted her to take on. On the other hand, I'd say the differences are I'm much, much sillier than my character.
You call yourself a bocha in the film, and
Yeah.
that is, for people that don't know, it's a term that's used in Mexico to refer to Mexicans who live in the US and whose kind of like language patterns are different from, you know, living in Mexico. So
Yeah.
tell us about growing up in Mexico and then coming to the States and how
Yeah.
that was different.
Yeah. So, well, I was born here, but I grew up there. And my dad is Mexican from Mexico City. Growing up in Guadalajara, I feel like it's very different, like the value system, the community. I have a group of friends who are moms right now. They're on my WhatsApp, and because they're my friends from, you know, growing up, and there's so much more community, if I'm honest. Like you know, my girlfriends would say, hey, who wants to do, you know, a play date today? And 3 people will say, sure, what time? And someone will say, how about in 20 minutes? And everyone goes, great, I'll meet you at your house. And I'm like, what? Like, what is this life where everyone meets in 20 minutes and goes and has a play date with their children? Like, it's so not, I feel like, the way my life is, at least in LA. Like, I feel like my life in LA is like, I meet up with people 2 weeks notice in advance, and we meet somewhere in the middle, and it takes an hour to get to, you know, but there's only a 1 hour time frame because you have a meeting right after. And so there's something to me that I really love about Latin culture in general. And it's like this open heartedness, like into your house and into your, you know, like, again, like my friends would be like, oh, you're busy today, I'll go pick up your kid and I'll bring him to your house. Like, it's like, and it's so easy for them to kind of just do these things for each other. And I feel very lucky I grew up with that.
I think your movie makes a big statement in the way you present it, because you are who you are, and your character, you've decided, is a pocha and speaks English and speaks Spanish and
Yeah.
can code switch, as they say, going from
Yeah.
one to the other in a second. Estamos hablando en español y luego pues we're back to English, you know.
Sí.
That's just the way we are. And that's, I think, a big statement for me,
Yeah.
because you don't have to explain who you are or who your character is. Your
Yeah.
character just is.
You know, and I think it's interesting. A big thing a lot of people have said that have had a chance to watch the movie is that a lot of the things in the movie were not pushing anything, where it just is. So it's like, we're not pushing the pandemic, or like, we're not pushing that I'm Latino. We're not pushing, it's like all these things. It's not like, we're just exploring what is, and you're experiencing it as is. And, you know, even my character goes through a miscarriage, which I did too. It's like, it's not about that. That is just a part of her journey.
One of the things that was very touching was your relationship with your father in the movie, Eva's relationship with the dad, which you could feel her so vulnerable. If she's a big chingona in everything else that she does.
Yeah.
She's like a go-getter and she's so sure of herself. And yet when it comes to the dad, there's this like hurt, there's this like want, there's this need. And that really colors your character so much. What do you need for the audience to take away? What would you like for them to take away from the film?
Yeah. Oh, and I just wanted to say really quickly about my dad. Actually wanted them to not see him because we thought, well, you know, he's not really in her life. So even though he's like this omnipresent voice that kind of like can change her emotions, he's actually never physically there, because that's a big part of what she's had to deal with in her life, right? Is he actually never shows up.
Right.
But I love that you're like, I wanted to see him because I'm like, I know. But back to your question. So what do I want people to take away? I feel like I would love two things. One, to really kind of empower and open up the conversation about how many, possibilities exist for people to be parents in all different shapes and forms. And I'm a super advocate of people doing things their own way and figuring out what makes sense for them and their body and their relationships. And I think it's something that's new and it's growing, but I think it's really important that people can kind of see this. And I've actually had a lot of single mother by choice reach out to me directly and say, it's been so amazing to see us represented on screen because we've never really seen ourselves represented. So I think that that's really beautiful. And I really hope that we can empower that movement. And then I also would really love for people to walk away from this and say, it's time, it's a new era where a woman being vulnerable and being able to accept when she doesn't know is actually a form of strength. And we're not going to kind of push this down as weakness anymore.
I wanted to ask you about your comedy. Where can we see your comedy? Because I just love your personality and I would love to see your comedy. Where can we see it?
I used to do shows all over town, like at the Comedy Store and Flappers at Ice House and stuff like that. But recently, I just spoke to a friend of mine and we're actually thinking of doing a comedy special that's going to be kind of like a mom related comedy. So I'm really excited about that because I have a lot of new material being a new mom. And let me tell you, being a mom is funny. So I'm really excited about that. So we're hoping to potentially get that on Amazon. So I'll keep you posted.
So where can we follow you on social media?
So at Selina Ringel. And also there is a short documentary that we made on what the making of this movie was. And that is also on HBO Max. So if people want to watch that, I think it's really interesting and at moments heartbreaking because we really went through the ringer.
Okay, well, remember everybody, Single Mothers by Choice. Go check it out on HBO Max. Thank you, Selina. So wonderful to speak with you.